faster internet speeds for free when you get TV, internet, and phone. Ask for Trio from Rev.
Join the revolution.
Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, searching for solutions to the crime problem. But first,
Defense Force officers engaged in a firefight with suspected Dominican poachers while at sea. That story straight ahead.
What one F&M senator has to say about a possible Ingram return. That and more tonight on our news.
DNA leader Branville McCartney weighs in on the F&M. That story straight ahead on our news.
welcome to our news. I'm KRISTINA McNeil. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight, an investigation has been launched after Defense Force Marines exchanged gunfire with a group of suspected Dominican poachers. Dana Smith explains how the incident unfolded.
Defense Force Marines got into a firefight with Dominican poachers while on routine patrol in the Great Bahama Bank just north of Cuba in the Key Lobos area. Nottage told reporters today, however, after a hot pursuit, the poachers managed to escape into Cuban waters. The incident happened around 8 p.m. yesterday when, according to Nottage, officers on board the HMBS Cascarilla spotted Dominicans illegally fishing in Bahamian waters.
The crew of the Cascarilla launched its seaboat in an attempt to board the Dominican vessel, whereupon they were fired upon. The crew of the Cascarilla returned fire.
And then, Nottage said a chase ensued.
The Cascarilla engaged in the Dominican vessel in hot pursuit south of the Key Lobos area, near the southern limits of the Great Bahama Bank. The chase continued towards Cuban territorial waters. The suspect vessel eventually entered Cuban waters, and Cascarilla therefore called off the chase.
Nottage said reports from a Bahamian fishing vessel in the area indicate the vessel was seen along with 3 other Dominican boats. Prior to the pursuit, Nottage said the crew of the Cascarilla had taken into custody 2 Dominican nationals who were on board 2 fishing skiffs in the Key Lobos area. No one on board the Cascarilla was injured during the incident, and the state of the occupants on board the suspect vessel is unknown. Defense Force Commodore TELLIS BETHEL said the Marines acted in self-defense. And as for how the poachers managed to escape, Bethel said,
during that time, that vessel was seeking to enter the territorial boundaries of another country, which is out of our jurisdiction.
Bethel said this firefight and chase was a rare event for the Defense Force, but over the years, there's been real concern about the depletion of local marine resources by Dominican poachers. He said local fishermen often complain about violent poachers. In the wake of the incident, Nottage said the Cuban border guard was informed that the suspected Dominican vessel entered their waters. Dominican authorities have also been alerted, and locally, an investigation has been launched.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs is currently in the Dominican Republic on official business, and I spoke with him this morning and directed him to take the matter up with the government of the Dominican Republic. Additionally, I have directed an immediate and thorough investigation into this incident by law enforcement agencies.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Dana Smith.
Thanks, Dana. Well, amid rumblings that former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram would make a return to frontline politics, one Free National Movement senator suggests he would welcome the move. GIORGIO STURRUP tells us more.
Many Free National Movement supporters have expressed interest in the return of their former leader, Hubert Ingram. But according to F&M Senator Dr. Dwayne Sands, that reality would cause much concern within the PLP government. Sands says the return of the former Prime Minister to frontline politics would bring fear and jealousy in the governing PLP, especially when voters compare the legacy of the current Prime Minister to his predecessor.
I imagine that there's a level of jealousy with the current Prime Minister, who certainly doesn't enjoy anywhere near that level of public support and respect as the now retired Prime Minister enjoys. And when we talk about legacy, the legacy of Hubert Ingram put head to head with the legacy of Perry Christie will be success versus failure.
According to Sands, the last conversation that he had with Ingram did not hint at a possible return. However, the thought will always excite persons.
Anytime you mention, say, Papa coming back, people's ears perk up. I believe that, Mr. Ingram remains a charismatic, exciting part of the political world in the Bahamas. Based on conversation that I would have had with him, and he has continued to maintain that he is in retirement and that he's not coming back. Whether he does or does not, time will tell.
Sands termed the return of Ingram to frontline politics as an interesting dynamic.
If it ever happens, then I think we'd have to see how it plays out. But it would be an interesting dynamic.
Ingram has said he has no interest in making a comeback. However, some observers are skeptical, considering he returned to lead the FNM to an election victory in 2007, despite promising to only serve 2 terms as Prime Minister. Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio STURRUP.
Thanks, Giorgio. DNA leader Branville McCartney is calling the FNM a party in disarray. This as he blasts any suggestion that former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram should return to lead the FNM. Jasmine Brown has the details in this report.
While admitting it would be one hell of an election if Ingram were to return to frontline politics, McCartney says it would be a step back for the FNM.
Should come put his hand in the ring and let it be between Papa, Christie and McCartney. Should come back, and let's see what happens then.
Ingram exited frontline politics after the FNM lost the 2012 general election. McCartney, who served in the last Ingram administration before resigning and forming the DNA, says it's best that he stick to that decision. He's retired, and no, I don't think he should come back. But if he does, I think 2012 will pale in comparison to what will happen to the FNM. Mr. Ingram has done what he had to do for this country. I think he's given it his all. He's given it his best. We are where we are today, and we're not in a good state. As for the current state of the FNM, McCartney says it's a party in turmoil. He says that became evidently clear after several FNM MPs threatened to have Dr. Hubert Minnis removed as FNM leader if he didn't agree to push up the FNM convention date. They have a lot of issues in that party. The party is very fractured, as we can see. There's been a lot of undermining of their leader, Dr. Hubert Minnis, and they need to get their act together. The FNM convention will be held July 27th through 29th. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. In other news, a former couple convicted of having a role in the high-profile killing of Kurt McCartney will have to wait another day before learning its fate. Last December, Thorne Edwards was convicted of the murder and armed robbery that occurred on October 24, 2013 in Gambier. Lindira Curry was found guilty of manslaughter. The pair appeared before Supreme Court Justice Stephen Isaacs this morning, expecting to be sentenced, but that did not happen as Edwards' lawyer Jeffrey Farquharson was not present as he was dealing with other court matters. Edwards allegedly shot McCartney, who was the brother of DNA leader Branville McCartney, in the face after the businessman got into an argument with Curry. The prosecution maintained that McCartney's killers rolled over his body as they fled the scene in the victim's Hummer. It was alleged that Edwards ran away after the shooting. Roger Thompson prosecuted the case. Sentencing is now expected to take place tomorrow morning. Still to come, addressing the fear of crime in the Bahamas, a mini hospital for Abaco, and a little later, the International Bazaar may be set for revival. Stay with us.